The rain was falling hard over the quiet streets of Virginia. Most people were already inside their homes, watching television, eating dinner, or getting ready for another normal night. But outside a small neighborhood near the military base, one man was standing beside his truck, completely unaware that his entire evening was about to change. His name was Marcus Reed. To the neighbors, he looked like an ordinary man, a tall black man wearing a simple gray hoodie, military boots, and a jacket. But they didn't know who he really was. Marcus Reed was not just another resident. He was a decorated Special Forces commander with over 20 years of military service. He had completed dangerous missions overseas, trained elite soldiers, and received awards that most people only saw in movies. But Marcus never talked about his achievements. He believed a person's character mattered more than their rank. After years of serving his country, Marcus finally returned home to spend more time with his family. He wanted a quiet life. No attention, no recognition, no special treatment, just peace. That evening, Marcus had stopped near a small grocery store after leaving the military base. He was carrying a few bags and walking toward his truck when a police cruiser slowly entered the parking lot. Inside the vehicle was Officer Daniel Carter. Carter had worked as a police officer for 8 years. He considered himself experienced, but recently he had been under pressure. Crime reports were increasing, and his supervisors demanded more arrests. As he drove through the parking lot, something caught his attention. A man standing near a vehicle, a black man, wearing military-style clothing. Officer Carter slowed down. He looked at Marcus, then at the truck, then back at Marcus. Something doesn't feel right, Carter thought. He parked his cruiser. Marcus noticed the officer approaching. He politely nodded. "Good evening, officer." Carter didn't answer immediately. "Can I see your ID?" Marcus looked confused. "My ID?" "Yes, identification." "Officer, did something happen?" Carter's expression remained serious. "We received a report about suspicious activity in this area." Marcus looked around. "The parking lot?" "Yes." Marcus calmly reached for his wallet. "Of course." He handed over his driver's license. Carter looked at the name, Marcus Reed. He typed the information into his computer. Nothing appeared unusual. No criminal record, no warnings, no outstanding issues. Everything was clean. But instead of returning the ID, Carter continued questioning him. "So, what are you doing here?" "Buying groceries." "Where do you work?" Marcus paused. "At the base nearby." Carter raised an eyebrow. "The military base?" "Yes." "What exactly do you do there?" Marcus didn't want to reveal his position. He had always kept his personal life private. "I work with training operations." Carter looked at his clothes. "You always dress like this?" Marcus looked down at his jacket. "It's comfortable." The officer stepped closer. "Open your vehicle." Marcus frowned. "Excuse me?" "I said open your vehicle." "Officer, am I being detained?" The question changed the atmosphere. Carter became more serious. "Are you refusing to cooperate?" "No. I'm asking if I am legally required to open my vehicle." A few people nearby started watching. Marcus remained calm. His military training taught him one important lesson. Never let emotions control the situation. Carter, however, interpreted Marcus's calmness differently. He thought Marcus was challenging him. "Turn around and put your hands where I can see them." Marcus looked surprised. "For what reason?" "Now." "Officer, I haven't done anything." The situation became tense. A woman walking out of the store stopped. She recognized Marcus. She had seen him around the neighborhood. "Officer, he lives here." Carter ignored her. "Step away from the vehicle." Marcus slowly stepped back. "I want to cooperate, but I need to understand what's happening." Carter reached for his handcuffs. "You're making this harder than it needs to be." Marcus looked directly at him. "No, I'm asking a simple question." More people gathered. Someone started recording on their phone. Carter noticed. His frustration increased. "Turn around." Marcus didn't move, not because he wanted a confrontation, because he knew his rights. "I am not resisting." Carter grabbed his arm. Within seconds, the situation changed. Marcus reacted automatically. Years of military training kicked in. He moved slightly, creating distance. Not attacking, not fighting, just protecting himself. But Carter saw it differently. "He's resisting." The officer reached for his taser. People gasped. "Wait!" Marcus raised his hands. "I'm not resisting." But before anyone could stop him, the taser fired. Electricity hit Marcus. He fell to the ground. The parking lot went silent. Everyone stared. The man lying on the wet pavement wasn't just a random citizen. He was a commander, a man who had spent decades protecting others. And nobody around him knew that yet. Officer Carter stood there breathing heavily. He looked at Marcus, then at the people recording. Everyone, step back! But one person already knew something was wrong. A retired military officer named James Wilson had been shopping nearby. He recognized Marcus immediately. His face changed. No, he whispered. Do you know who you just shocked? Carter looked at him. Who? Wilson slowly walked closer. That man is Commander Marcus Reed. Carter didn't react. Okay, Wilson shook his head. No, you don't understand. He looked at the military base visible in the distance. He is the commander responsible for special operations training. The officer's expression changed. You're saying he's military? Wilson replied. Not just military. He is the person your entire base answers to. At that exact moment, Marcus's phone began ringing. The screen showed a name, General Thomas Hayes, the highest-ranking commander at the nearby military installation. The crowd went silent. Officer Carter looked at the phone, then at Marcus. For the first time that night, he realized he might have made the biggest mistake of his career, because within minutes, the military base would know exactly what happened, and they were already on their way. The military base was only 5 minutes away from the grocery store. But that night, those 5 minutes felt like an eternity. Inside the command center, alarms were not screaming. There was no attack, no emergency drill, no enemy threat. But there was something else. A message marked as urgent appeared on the secure communication system. Commander Marcus Reed involved in police incident. The room immediately became silent. General Thomas Hayes looked at the screen. He had known Marcus Reed for almost 15 years. He knew his discipline, his patience, his loyalty. Marcus was the type of person who would walk into danger to save someone else without hesitation. So when the report said, Commander used force against police officer, the general immediately knew something was wrong. Pull every camera from the area, Hayes ordered. A young officer quickly connected the surveillance system. Sir, we have footage from the grocery store parking lot. The video appeared on the large screen. Everyone watched. Nobody spoke. They saw Marcus standing calmly. They saw him answer questions. They saw him provide identification. They saw him keep his hands visible. Then they saw the moment the officer grabbed him. And then, the taser. The room became completely quiet. One soldier slowly shook his head. That's Commander Reed. General Hayes stared at the screen. His expression remained calm. But everyone in the room knew. He was angry. Not because Marcus was powerful, not because he was famous, but because someone who dedicated his life to protecting others had been treated unfairly. How long ago did this happen? 7 minutes, sir. Status? Commander Reed is conscious. Medical team is being contacted. Hayes immediately stood up. We're going there. Back at the parking lot, Marcus slowly sat up. His body was still shaking from the electrical shock. The paramedics arrived and checked him. Sir, are you feeling any pain? I'm okay. Any dizziness? No. The paramedic looked surprised. You were hit pretty hard. Marcus simply nodded. I've been through worse. Officer Carter stood nearby. For the first time, he looked nervous. The crowd continued recording. The video was already spreading online. People were asking, who is this man? Why was he stopped? Why did the officer use a taser? Carter walked toward another officer. Did you find anything on him? The second officer checked his notes. No weapons, no violations. Everything was clean. Carter became quiet. The reality started hitting him. He had assumed. He had judged. And now everyone was watching. Then suddenly, a sound appeared in the distance. Vehicles, multiple vehicles, military vehicles. The crowd turned around. Several black SUVs entered the parking lot. The atmosphere changed instantly. Soldiers stepped out. Not aggressively, not threatening, but with complete confidence. Everyone recognized something important. These people were not here to create chaos. They were here because something serious had happened. General Hayes stepped out of the first vehicle. He walked directly toward Marcus. Commander Reed. Marcus looked up. General. Hayes helped him stand. Are you injured? I'm fine. The general looked at the officer, then back at Marcus. What happened? Marcus stayed quiet for a moment. I believe there was a misunderstanding. That answer surprised everyone. Even after what happened, Marcus wasn't angry. He wasn't looking for revenge. He just wanted the truth. General Hayes looked at him. Commander, you have the right to file a complaint. Marcus shook his head. I want facts first. The general nodded. That was exactly the Marcus he knew. Calm, professional, controlled. Then Officer Carter stepped forward. General, I can explain. Everyone looked at him. Carter took a breath. I received a report about suspicious activity. Hayes stared at him. What suspicious activity? Carter hesitated. A person matching a description. What description? The officer became uncomfortable. Someone wearing military clothing near a vehicle. The general looked confused. Military clothing? Yes. Hayes glanced at Marcus. So the fact that he looked like military personnel was suspicious? Carter didn't answer. The silence said everything. Later that night, Marcus was taken to the base medical facility for a full check. Meanwhile, the police department began reviewing the incident. The police chief, Rebecca Morgan, watched the body camera footage. Her expression changed with every second. She saw what the public saw, a calm citizen, a tense officer, a situation that escalated too quickly. She called Officer Carter into her office. Daniel. Yes, Chief? Why did you stop him? I received a suspicious activity report. From who? Carter looked away. An anonymous caller. The chief opened a folder. Daniel, there was no report about a crime. Carter froze. What? There was a report about someone standing near a truck. That's it? That's it. The room became silent. The chief continued. You escalated a conversation into a physical confrontation. Carter tried to defend himself. He moved his arm. Because you grabbed him. Carter looked frustrated. I thought he was resisting. The chief closed the folder. Thinking something is not the same as knowing. Meanwhile, inside the military base, Marcus sat with General Hayes. The general placed a file on the table. Marcus, there is something you should know. Marcus looked at him. What? The person who called the police? Hayes paused. We think they weren't reporting suspicious activity. Marcus frowned. What do you mean? The call came from a number connected to someone who has been watching the base. Marcus became serious. Watching the base? Yes. The general opened another file. 3 weeks ago, someone attempted to access restricted information. Marcus looked at the documents. And you think this is connected? We don't know yet. Marcus leaned back. So this wasn't random? Hayes looked at him. Maybe not. For the first time that night, the situation became bigger than a simple police encounter. Someone had created a situation. Someone wanted Marcus noticed. Someone wanted him distracted. And the person behind it knew exactly where he would be. The next morning, the story exploded online. News channels reported, military commander involved in police encounter after being tased during traffic stop. Millions watched the footage. Many people demanded answers. But hidden inside the viral video was something nobody noticed. A person standing in the background. A person recording everything before the police even arrived. A person who wasn't surprised by what happened. The military intelligence team enhanced the footage. They zoomed in. And then, everyone in the room became silent, because they recognized the face. General Hayes whispered, No. Marcus looked at the screen. Who is that? The general slowly answered, Someone who should not be here. The image showed a former military contractor, someone who disappeared years ago, someone Marcus thought was gone forever. His name was Victor Kane, and he had one reason for coming back. Revenge. The image on the screen stayed frozen. Nobody in the military intelligence room moved. The face staring back at them belonged to a man they all thought had disappeared years ago. Victor Kane, former military contractor, former intelligence specialist, and once one of the closest people Marcus Reed trusted. General Thomas Hayes looked at the screen with disbelief. I thought he left the country. The intelligence officer shook his head. Apparently not. Marcus remained silent. The name brought back memories. Years earlier, Victor Kane had worked alongside Marcus on several classified operations. He was intelligent, highly trained, but he was also reckless. Victor believed rules were obstacles. Marcus believed rules protected innocent people. Their disagreement eventually destroyed their partnership. The final mission they worked together ended with Victor being removed from military service. After that, he vanished. Marcus looked at the picture. Why would he come after me now? General Hayes opened another file. Because you are the person who exposed him, Marcus remembered. The last operation, the missing equipment, the illegal actions. Victor had tried to hide his mistakes. Marcus reported the truth. Victor lost everything. His career, his reputation, his future. And now, he wanted revenge. The investigation moved quickly. Military intelligence tracked Victor's movements. They discovered he had been monitoring the base for weeks. But the biggest discovery was even more shocking. The police call that started everything wasn't random. Victor had created the situation. He knew Marcus would be near the store. He knew the cameras would capture everything. He wanted the world to see Marcus in a negative situation. His plan was simple: damage Marcus's reputation, create public controversy, force him into the spotlight, then use the chaos to access information from the military base. But Victor made one mistake. He underestimated Marcus. At the police station, Officer Daniel Carter watched the news. He saw his own actions being discussed across television channels. For the first time in his career, he questioned himself. He wasn't angry. He wasn't defensive. He was embarrassed. The police chief entered his office. Daniel, he stood up. Chief, she placed a folder on the table. The investigation found you violated procedure. Carter looked down. I understand. You escalated a situation without evidence. I know. The chief studied him. Something happened that night. Carter nodded. I judged him before I knew anything. The room became quiet. Then Carter said, I want to apologize. Later that day, Carter went to the military base. He expected anger. He expected rejection. Instead, he found Marcus outside the command building. Carter approached slowly. Commander Reed. Marcus turned. Officer Carter. Carter took a deep breath. I owe you an apology. Marcus listened. I was wrong, Carter continued. I saw a situation and made assumptions. I didn't listen. I didn't ask the right questions. Marcus remained silent. I understand if you don't forgive me. After a moment, Marcus spoke. Everyone makes mistakes. Carter looked surprised. But what matters is what you do after. Marcus extended his hand. Carter looked at it, then shook it. The moment wasn't about forgetting what happened. It was about accepting responsibility. Meanwhile, the search for Victor Kane continued. Military intelligence discovered Victor had prepared a final move. He wasn't just trying to embarrass Marcus. He was planning to steal sensitive military information, the same information Marcus had protected for years. A team was sent to an abandoned industrial building outside the city. Marcus joined the operation, not because he wanted revenge, because he wanted to stop someone from hurting others. Inside the building, the team discovered computers, cameras, and stolen documents. Then suddenly, the lights turned on. A voice came from the darkness. Still protecting people, Marcus? Everyone turned. Victor Kane stepped forward, older, different, but the same anger remained in his eyes. Marcus looked at him. Victor, you ruined my life. Marcus shook his head. No, your choices did. Victor laughed. Still the hero. No, Marcus answered calmly. Just someone who understands consequences. Victor looked around. You think you're better than me? Marcus replied. No. A pause. I think I learned from my mistakes. Victor became angry. You took everything from me. Marcus stepped closer. I told the truth. The room became silent. Victor lowered his weapon slightly. For a moment, it looked like he remembered who he used to be. But then, he made one final attempt to escape. The military team moved quickly. Within seconds, Victor was surrounded. There was nowhere to go. The man who spent years planning revenge had finally lost. Not because Marcus was stronger, not because of weapons, but because the truth was finally exposed. Weeks later, the story changed. The public learned what really happened. The police department released a statement. The military confirmed Marcus Reed's service and dedication. Officer Carter publicly admitted his mistake. The incident became a lesson about judgment, responsibility, and trust. Marcus returned to his normal life. He still visited the same grocery store, still helped his neighbors, still avoided attention. One evening, a young person approached him. Sir? Marcus turned. Yes? Are you really a commander? Marcus smiled. I used to be. The young person looked impressed. Why didn't you tell everyone who you were that night? Marcus looked at the street, then answered, Because everyone deserves respect. The young person nodded. Marcus continued walking. No cameras, no headlines, no recognition. Just a man who spent his life serving others. And everyone who witnessed that night learned the same lesson. Never judge someone before knowing their story. Because sometimes, the person standing quietly in front of you might be the person who spent their entire life protecting people like you. The end.